I'm rolling.
We're good.
Rolling. What?
Come
what?
on!
Now you know you'll be doing this shit.
Come on!
That's terrible. Keep that as the intro. I want people to know.
Well, that's fucking Fred Durst in a nutshell, isn't it? I mean, I watched the video for that the other day. I was on stream. I didn't have anything to do, and I watched that video. And he's got like the red baseball cap on backwards and fucking
Limp Bizkit
khakis and like a big baggy white T-shirt and stuff. I thought to myself, people must have thought at the time when this came out that this guy was cool, but when you look back, it's like, what? You know what I mean? Like just like the high pitched voice and like and everything. And you just think,
I always hated them. Like
same. They
were always awful.
I was too old to sort of, you know what I mean? Like if you were like 13 when they came out, you might think, oh fuck, that's like, I remember my brother listening to them. He had like a Discman and he got a bunch of CDs like one year for Christmas. And it was that typical, like, we went to my grandma's house for Christmas and he was just sitting in a corner sulking and like listening to Limp Bizkit with like a typical sort of teenage thing. And I guess he was like into them at the time.
Listening to him being like,
yeah, but I was like,
starts now.
I was like 18 or 19 when that song came out, and I was already beyond it. I was just like, that's not music for me. I don't want to listen to that.
What do they look like now, these guys, Limp Bizkit?
Fred
They just look
Durst
like regular old
probably
men.
Probably the same. They probably just had a couple of little, like,
You see, sometimes they turn into just very middle-class dads. Like Beastie Boys are now looking like very middle-class dads.
Well, they're rich.
Just hanging out.
Well, I mean, I think it's one of those things. But
they come from this sort of era of when you just almost expect them to be rebellious kids forever, wearing like loose jeans and having like nose rings.
Bear in mind, a lot of these guys that do that kind of image, that's what it is. It's an image. I mean, most of these guys, if you look at their background, their dad was like an accountant and their mum, was like worked in an office or whatever. And they had a nice middle class upbringing, and then they took it to the streets,
right?
Yeah, because it's like you got to learn how to make music
as well, wasn't it? It was all fake streets. Yeah, you're right. It wasn't real street at all. It was fake street.
Vanilla Ice famously was kind of fake streets, wasn't he?
Oh, he was 100% fake street.
Remember when Ice Ice Baby came out and he was talking about like the hood in Miami and stuff like that, and he wasn't even from there or anything. Like, I think he was just
Robert Matthew Van Winkle.
He's probably from like a suburb in Delaware or something.
Yeah, but the weird thing is, at that time, to make it in rap, you had to have some kind of street cred to be a rapper, because otherwise people were like, "This guy's a fake." Like, he's singing about, like, if you think about rap in the 80s and the 90s, was very much that gangster rap kind of thing about, the streets and your crew and how tough everything was. So for Vanilla Ice to turn up and say it, everyone was like, fuck you. Like, you're just some rich white kid from Miami or whatever. You're not from the street. So I think that was the difference. Nowadays, anybody can rap and nobody's like, yo, this guy ain't shot anybody. It's like, no problem. If you can rap and it's good, so be it.
There's a lot of accounts. I mean, I don't want to spread like misinformation, but there are a lot of accounts of, like some of the more hardcore, like, gangsta rap groups like NWA, for example. They were around people who were, dealing drugs or possibly like killing people.
Let's get like a rap beef going.
You want to start
say bad stuff about them.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I think Eazy-E himself was like that. He never set out to be a rapper. He was sort of like made into one by Dr. Dre and Ice Cube, who saw that
you can have
in him. But before that, he was just dealing drugs and
tofu.
He had street money to finance them, sort of thing.
We got a street tofu going on. The East Coast, West Coast.
Sips is getting a corn burger going on.
No, but I think like Ice Cube and Dr. Dre were. Dr. Dre is just a DJ. Like, I don't think he was running around doing drive-bys and like dealing drugs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm sure he was
with
like
Ice
a dentist.
He was just
something.
like they were rapping about things that they saw, but not necessarily about things that they were involved in.
Things that sold records was. Let's remember that.
There's that too.
But it was always just random, right? Even like today, like sometimes you just can't fucking tell what's going to go viral. On the internet. I mean, instead of coronavirus news. Fucking hell.
What?
What a segue.
Yeah.
I don't know whether we should avoid talking about it completely.
I want
everyone's
to.
sick to death of it.
I had a really bad anxiety attack last night because I was thinking, and that's the worst thing you can do is to think about. Like, I run over scenarios in my brain about, what would I do in this situation and all the rest of it, and then the worst. I start to imagine fucking
Oh shit.
DayZ stuff and Walking Dead and everything. So it sort of gets to you, but at the same time, I went out today. I had to go to the pharmacy and I had to go to, I had to buy some paper and pencils and rubbers, like restock on lined paper, because the kids are going to be home from school for the foreseeable.
Yeah.
Like there's a chance they might not go back to finish this school year.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy. So all the parents, we've got a WhatsApp group for our classes and everything. We're all sharing learning resources, and we're planning next week. I'm going to homeschool them. Mrs. F is going to homeschool. We'll give them homework to do.
Okay.
And stuff like that.
So this is how you play Witch Doctor, right? You're going to want to start off by picking up a Q, 1 point in Q, because that will help you get the early stuns and secure
also, you
the
take
early
Maledict
runes.
level 1. You've just failed. That's an F.
I like the idea of you at a chalkboard. Wheel the fucking chalkboard out of the shed. You're like, this is what my daddy taught me. My daddy taught me. You do not go Skeleton King.
Oh man.
I could pick them all the drafts and counter picks and stuff.
Yeah.
You just picked Meepo into Winter Wyvern and Earthshaker and F. You get out of my classroom.
You could do like a little exam for them.
Yeah, exactly.
You're in the safe lane, and your Witch Doctor's gone. Your carry's gone missing. What do you do?
The answer is get as much farm as you can while you can, and pretend you can't hear your team. That's the answer.
I love those fucking exam questions where it's like, Abdul is considering buying a divine rapier, but his teammate Thomas.
Fucking Abdul every time. I tell him time and time again, don't do it, but he just goes and does it. He wants to make it work.
Another member of his team, Vladimir, is swearing in Russian.
Vladimir. Yeah,
they always
right.
pick like these sort of.
Vladimir has decided to queue on EU West servers, generally English speaking, and has decided to start swearing in Russian.
I don't know if you're
His
qualified.
teammates are bewildered. They don't understand his weird moon language.
I saw a tweet by someone that was like, tried teaching my 5 and 7-year-old for an hour and 11 minutes and nearly lost my mind. Like, I have a newfound respect for what teachers do every day.
Yeah, seriously,
kind of thing.
It's amazing. I mean, 30 kids. It's. I want to say it's one
most
of the
undervalued things, isn't it?
Yeah, but I saw a tweet the other day that says it turns out that actually doctors, nurses, teachers, bin men, delivery drivers, shelf stockers are actually really important jobs. Who knew? And it's like, it's an interesting take because now I hope people are waking up to how important these jobs are and how society breaks down and everybody's in a mad panic when they suddenly can't have access to things that previously they had honestly taken for granted. So just look at yourselves and think, hang on a sec, when the teachers and the schools shut, my life was completely fucking turned upside down. Maybe we shouldn't just say, oh, those teachers have it easy, they don't need more money, accept that what they're doing is vital. And the same goes for all the healthcare professionals and all the support staff and everything. And even simple things like the bin men, if they just stopped, the streets would be piled up in no time. So have some fucking respect for the down and gritty jobs that people have.
We should be respecting these roles more.
People who are stocking shelves and stuff and making sure that you can buy more toilet paper than you actually need are kind of putting themselves on the line as well. Like they're there. There's no protection. Like they're around people all the time who could be passing this virus on to them and stuff. Just so you can hoard toilet paper. So
exactly,
maybe say
even
thanks.
like postmen,
just say thanks.
Making sure people are getting their deliveries. Some people probably have their pills delivered by mail. Probably some people, could definitely need that copy of Animal Crossing. People need like mental health stuff too. Like there's a lot of roles that are really important, and in fact, in some ways, help to kind of get us through this situation, because if you can go out to the shop and it's not shut, it feels, or even if it's like a skeleton staff, it still feels like fairly normal, which is just weird. It's a weird time to be involved with stuff. But yeah, shout out to everyone fucking helping out other people. So what's happened with me is, first of all, in the office, it's basically we've told everyone who can work from home, they can work from home, right? So everyone's getting on with it and stuff in Discord and it's just business as usual, basically.
Yeah.
But in my flat, a little sign went up which said, "This guy is coordinating the sort of the block of flats support group for anyone who needs shopping done for them." And
Right.
so you just have to ring his number and he'll go out and buy you like shopping if you need it, any like rice or anything. Just put your orders in, he'll drop it at your door. It's very generous. Someone's obviously really just offering to help out. It's very kind. And so it really sort of is, there are people out there, there's loads of people out there who are really good-hearted people, and are just being very supportive to other people when they need it at this time. So if you you should always just check in with people. I rang my parents. I booked like a regular slot to ring my parents every week on Skype.
That's nice of you.
Yes, I had a chat with them Tuesday afternoon. They're doing all right. They're a bit concerned.
Sure.
Everyone's a bit anxious about it.
I mean, speaking of anxiety and Flax's anxiety and thinking about stuff at night and whatever, I'm not a very anxious person, but last night, as I was leaving the garage to go back into my house, I found myself stopping midway between my garage and my house because I heard a noise. I froze to listen. And then as I was unlocking my house door, I was looking back for it and I thought, man, I am playing too much Escape from Tarkov. Like it's insane. Like everything. Like I'm actually acting in my real life now like a scurrying rat in Escape from Tarkov. I hear one noise, I freeze, and I'm looking around and
you're snuffling,
trying to hear if somebody's sneaking up around a corner on me, and I'm unlocking my door and looking both ways to make sure that nobody's watching me go in.
I've got a stack of graphics cards
quickly
here.
Closing. Yeah, I've got a fucking ton of graphics cards in my garage now and stuff, and I built a makeshift bathroom out here and a stash for all of my essentials, and oh man, it's crazy.
I mean, is that like
fun? But
this is a situation where we all have laughed about doomsday preppers on this podcast before, and it's a long way from that. I mean, actually, as someone who is probably more inclined to do that than a lot of people, I weirdly maintain a small cupboard full of tins and rice and stuff like that in case I can't be asked to go.
Do you know
out,
what?
Right?
I don't doomsday prep because I don't want to survive doomsday.
Yes, we've been through this.
I want to go.
Yeah,
I don't want to be stuck in a bunker somewhere with a bunch of toilet paper and beans. Just kill me before that happens.
Well, it's more relevant for people who would be trapped inside, though. Or should isolate.
What was that movie with John Goodman where they're in that bunker? Because there's like an alien invasion. And
it was the follow-up.
He's a prepper, but then
what was it called? The film where the original one where they were monsters in the city.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
I can't remember it because it was something you watch once and
it was
then
like
you never
Cloverfield or
Cloverfield. It was Cloverfield Lane. Cloverfield Lane.
That's the one. Yeah,
it's terrible.
It's all right.
I thought it was all right. I think I saw it with you actually, Lewis. Didn't we go see it in the?
I think there's a lot of scary hype around this. Whereas actually, I feel like at the very end of the day, yes, it's serious. Yes, we should stop other people and elderly people getting it, but it's not like a zombie apocalypse, is it? It's like
the only thing I'm worried about is civil unrest. If people start rioting, you never know. I mean, if people start running out of food, like if something happens with the food supplies and people can't get it, you're going to get a lot more crime. People breaking into people's houses to steal their food, shops getting smashed up, fires, etc. It's a little worrying, and I think that's why they've got the army and all the rest of it out on the sort of semi. They're talking about getting the army out because you never know. You might need to suppress some civil unrest, but we'll see.
But especially in a place like Italy where a lot of stuff is closed down.
If I was trapped inside with a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old for like more than a couple of weeks, I think I'd start making a doomsday banner and ripping some clothes into a makeshift skull face and get walking out yelling on the streets. Help! I can't stand it anymore. Well, someone look after my kids.
I mean,
I want to get a hockey mask and be like the guy in Mad Max. Just walk away.
We're lucky we got a backyard. We got like a trampoline for the kids and stuff. So like, even if we're kind of stuck at home, they can still go back there and burn off some steam and stuff. And I think it's all right.
You tell me this time next week when you've spent a week at home with them.
Well, I don't have to though. It's my wife spends. I just come out to to the garage and do my thing, you know.
Your wife's gonna
My
be
wife's got to
like,
do
totally
it. She
frayed
likes having them
at the
home though.
edges.
It's in some ways it's easier having them home because it's a lot of farting around, getting them to school, picking them up from school, making
Yeah.
lunches, like all that kind of stuff. And in some ways, like
Should have like a second Christmas.
bit easier
Just
for
get
them.
the Christmas
Yeah.
tree out.
yeah, just bust that thing out.
Fucking-
And,
I mean, luckily nowadays we have a lot of things like Netflix, the internet. You know, they my youngest has an iPad she loves. My eldest has a laptop I gave her, so it's like they can occupy themselves pretty well.
Well, this is the other thing. Like, it feels like everyone has this attitude of, self-isolation, you know, so you keep yourself entertained. You know, it's a great opportunity to read that book or do that thing. And people are like, oh, God, I don't know if I've got enough stuff to watch. And I'm like, so I was talking to someone who I won't name in Discord the other night.
Boris
And he was
Johnson.
like, oh, yeah, I finally... I finally get to to read all this stuff and read all this anime or manga or whatever. And I was like, sure. Whatever floats your boat. But then I thought, you do nothing. You're like a streamer. You stream a couple of hours a week, and you don't have a job. You don't have kids. You know, this is no different to your regular life. Nothing's changed for you. You're already a shut-in.
but they
right?
can't
all of
get
us are.
toilet paper. That's the big difference. There's none. It's sold out everywhere. So now what?
What do you mean now? What? What do you mean now? What? Do you use your sleeve like a normal person? There's loads of alternatives. When I was in uni, we ran out of toilet paper all the time because when you were a student, that's what happened. We just used anything that's around. Kitchen roll's a bit rough, but you get used to it.
I just did the next logical big brain play. There's no toilet paper left. I went to the store and bought myself 2,000 pairs of underpants. I just got extra underpants now. So, you know what I mean?
But how does that
just wipe my ass with them after I do one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that
nappies?
my diet is as such where I only need to poop maybe once a week or something. I'll be fine.
I think this is going to do wonders for the moist toilet roll market. So when I went to the Co-op, the only thing they had was the moist toilet roll, slightly wet. Have you seen those? They changed my world.
Do you wipe your ass with a wet towel?
No, they're like toilet roll, but they're wet. They're in a little wet wipes. But they're not
very bad for the sewers. Sips and I have spoken about this before.
Yeah.
Oh, I have some big news for long-time listeners of the Triforce podcast.
Hooray.
This happened yesterday.
Sewer news.
Yes.
No, this is not sewer news. This is Spy House news.
Oh, Spy House. There's an update on Spy House.
The Spy House that backs up the back of your house.
Okay, update on
There's
Spy House.
activity in the Spy House.
Some new neighbours have moved in next door to them. A very nice young couple. I was chatting to them yesterday over the garden fence, as you do.
Very nice young couple. That's such a Pyrion flax thing to say.
It is.
How old are they?
Well, they're younger than me. They haven't. I mean, she's pregnant, so I know that they must be younger than me, and they're about to have their first. So they're probably 30s. Where we were 10 years ago, 12 years ago. Whatever.
Sure.
Right.
So
they see you and they're like, "Oh,
look at this
God,
old
he's
cunt.
going to be trouble. This old bastard,
Jeez.
he's a bald arsehole."
So I looked. They were in Spy House's garden, and I looked out of my window.
Well, were they
and I was
having a welcome to the neighborhood barbecue, and everybody was there except for you, and you were just like, "Oh, what's going on over there? Those guys look like they're having fun." And Spy Master was out there flipping burgers, and he had the apron with the naked tits on it and stuff. And
and a massive hobo beard and shit
all
tons
the
of
new
water
neighbors
and
were
toilet paper
laughing
stacked up.
No.
Doomsday prepping.
Oh, right, okay.
No, they were the Spy House's garden.
They opened a door to a secret bunker.
I'll tell you.
And they all
if you shut
descended
the fuck
into the
up.
bunker.
What, they knocked
and I
down the fence
followed.
and combined gardens?
No, the point is that the garden, the Spy House garden was growing into their garden.
Oh.
So they just went in there and started hacking it down. Okay, so the young guy got his dad, and they were fucking slashing all this stuff down and cutting it down. They trimmed the trees that were going crazy. And I said to them, "Do you guys live there?" Because I didn't know. And he said, "No." But we spoke to the guy. They have his phone number, and you can now see into the back of Spy House. And it turns out, first of all, the house is completely abandoned and has been for years. I knew that much. But I suspected that there was still something going on. He said the thing is the guy used to rent it out, used to live there for a while, but his wife got sick with cancer. He lives down in Teddington, and they're keeping the house because they're going to do it up and resell it at some point. It's not a spy house. Much simpler explanation,
Right.
which I'm relieved about. But the state of this house is unbelievable. One of the back doors is completely fallen in, so animals have just been living in there, and it was just completely overrun.
Fucking
Fuck.
That's crazy.
Dude, that sounds like
Yeah.
a project for you.
What the
You know,
fuck?
every dad
Man, I'm
needs
not
a
going to go and
building
fix up
project.
someone
Flip
else's
it.
house. What are you?
Just
What are you talking
What are you
about?
talking
flip
about?
it.
You could buy it up for like fucking dirt cheap, knock through the fence,
How
then you
much
could like
money
just
do
go
you
out in the
think I
garden
have?
and fix it up.
Just buy
What do
a
you mean?
house? What are you talking about?
No, how much is it? If it's animals that live in there, how much is it worth?
Well, I would think
With the animals included?
2 million.
Just got
it's
to pay
London.
them up.
Man, they cost those
Wow.
animals ain't cheap.
You know, this house a piece of shit. It's probably only worth about 50,000. But there's a whole family of raccoons there. Let me think. Okay, 5 raccoons and
Do
potentially
they get squatters'
they
rights?
can have
I guess they
offspring
do.
as well. Okay, let's get the value of all these raccoons. And what's that? Pigeons in the loft? Okay, how many pigeons are up there? You just start counting
Right.
all the wildlife.
All right, let's say so 100 quid for each raccoon, 20 quid for each pigeon, 50 grand for the property, all that shitty extra foliage that'll cost you because that's worth it. That's grown for years. That has load of lovely mud coating the inside. Add a couple thousand on for that. I'd say London prices, premium.
3
Put a
mil.
little bit of tax on the top.
3 million.
That's going to be 2.5 million. 2.5 million, please.
Nice.
That's how much. That's how much it is for
Yeah,
a fucking
I know, it's
anywhere in
Crazy,
Twickenham.
eh? Fucking
I
crazy.
mean,
Yeah.
you'd have to spend. I think you'd have to spend 100 on the house to get it up to. I mean, it for one thing, it's separated into 2 flats, so you're gonna have to get rid of that and put a staircase in,
Right.
Because it's too small for flats. But an old disabled lady used to live there, which is why they had it converted into flats and rented out the top. So there's a whole story to it.
Yeah, every
But,
house has
yeah.
a story. You'd be
It's
amazed.
much less interesting now you know the story.
It
You
is.
know, it was nice when it was
It is.
Spy House.
Yeah.
You
It's
know, when
not
you could
Spy
think
House.
anything was going on there. You could like wonder what was happening if there was like Russian meetings.
Yeah.
Old
happening
properties
there,
always
like-
have like a bit of a story to them when they've been around for a long time. But what do you think the story is going to be for like new builds? Like these like Chinese apartment buildings that go up in like 2 weeks because they're like prefab and stuff like
Well,
that.
they're built on a burial ground, aren't they? Do you know what I mean?
What do you
Yeah,
think? What do you
built
think
on,
the cool story for those apartments?
You know
is
what
gonna
I
be
always
in
think when
20
I
years'
think
time?
of new builds? I think of someone murdering someone in their family in a new build. I don't know
and
why.
chucking them in the foundation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always think of new builds as a place where violence is done. I don't know why. I look at old houses and I think they've got a kind of a charming spirit to them, but a new build
Yeah.
to me is like soulless. Murder could be done there. That's what I'm
I
thinking.
feel like an older building though has like that, that those people have lived in there so long and they've buried their relatives in the wall or whatever, and then the next couple have moved in, killed someone, buried that relative in the wall. So it's just false walls on false walls. Do
You know
I
what,
mean? And then
that's like,
that's why all the rooms are really small and claustrophobic.
That's like the
because originally
sitcom.
they were very big and spacious.
There's a show called Ghosts, made by the guys that did Horrible Histories. The
Oh
actors from
yeah,
that.
I've seen bits and pieces. It's
It is-
the
it is
couple
very,
move
very
in
good.
to that mansion, and
Yes.
the woman can see all the ghosts.
She gets a head injury, and when she comes around, she can see these ghosts, and they've all died on that property over the years. One of them is like a caveman. So he died there like thousands of years ago and stuff, and then you've got all these other ones that have come in over time.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
It
I
is
recommend
funny,
it.
yeah. It is.
Oh, is it a sitcom?
Yeah,
Yes.
but it's on
Oh,
like in the
so-
evening. It's not like it's on at like
Yeah, no,
8
it's
o'clock.
not
it
like
out.
for kids,
Yeah.
but it's very fun. One of my favorite bits is one of the guys that died there was like an army general or like a lieutenant or something like that, and he says to the assembled ghosts, "Well, it looks like we're going to have to get rid of this living couple. It's going to be a guerrilla war." And the caveman says, "Huh, guerrilla always win."
Yeah, a good little
A
joke.
nice little joke there.
What was it we watched with you when I was at yours, Sips? We watched
Oh,
this
the
on BBC.
Goes Wrong show. Fuck, that's amazing. It's
Yeah,
so fucking funny.
It's definitely something you could watch with the
Yeah,
kids.
Yeah,
It doesn't
yeah.
feel like that offensive. It had a few good
It's
laughs
all
in
like
it, and it felt very
it's slapstick,
British.
but it is very funny.
It's kind of nice to watch some fucking British comedy again. Honestly, like I feel like I so much lately.
British
I've been
comedy that
watching
doesn't feel like it's trying to be American comedy.
everything American. Yeah, like it didn't feel like it doesn't have to be like
It feels
constant,
like pretty
F-bombs
uniquely
stuff.
British, doesn't it? Like
F-bombs.
Some of the newer like sitcoms, like British sitcoms, feel like they're trying to be like overly American somehow. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I as much as my favorite, I think my favorite shows, comedy shows ever are probably like Trailer Park Boys and The Office and It's Always Sunny.
Arrested Development, that was pretty good.
Arrested Development. I love
that.
you know, as much as I love those, it's nice to, I don't know, just watch some British comedy again.
No,
it's
harmless, but it's really
I watched
fun.
The Windsors this week, which I didn't really like.
The Windsor. Oh, that's
yeah, no.
terrible. Jeez.
It just started
that looks
auto playing
shit.
while I was playing.
Yeah, I saw it on Netflix because I saw an ad for it and I thought, oh, it might be kind of funny, but it's Harry Enfield hasn't been funny for like 30 years now or something.
No,
like,
he has not.
It's crazy.
No.
Like he used to actually genuinely be very funny. Like, you know, like loads of
I
money
like him
and
though.
all that.
It's just it's interesting to
You know
see.
what made me laugh? Match of the day. Obviously, there's no football, so in the match of the day schedule, they just panicked and stuck in an episode of Mrs. Brown's Boys.
Oh no.
And they got
fuck.
they got a shitload of complaints.
Oh man, they should put some old shit on instead. Like
That's what people said.
That is
Stick
the
a classic
worst show as
stick
well,
a classic
Mrs.
match of the day.
Brown's
on.
Boys.
or if you're
Why
gonna
is it
put a
so
comedy on, put an
fucking bad?
old one on. Put like Some Mothers Do Have Them or something like that. Like something that's actually kind of funny instead of fucking.
I just
Mrs.
think they should
Brown's
run
Boys.
some old football. Run an old match of the day. Desline them. You know, break it out the old ones. Like a classic episode where there's like really good games and it was like a title chase or something. Chuck that in. I'd love to see that. Alan Hansen back in there, terrible defender, you know, all that stuff. Classics instead of fucking Mrs. Brown's Boys, the worst sitcom I've ever seen.
It's so fuck me.
There are some terrible
It's impossible
sitcoms, honestly.
to watch. It's just it's the worst.
It's the way the audience are absolutely losing their shit.
Yeah.
Like, what are you laughing at? I watched a Joe Pasquale stand-up set the other day because Stuart Lee's always having a go at Joe Pasquale.
Yeah.
He was big in I think the late 80s and early 90s was like Joe Pasquale's prime time.
Yeah.
And
more recently, he was on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. That was the last time I saw him.
It's abysmal. His stand-up is abysmal. Like, it's unwatchably unfunny. And the people are absolutely creasing up and like falling out of their seats. There's something offensive about seeing that level of laughter about something that you know demonstrably is empirically bad.
I know. You see it sometimes, but no, I've got a lot of shit I want to watch. I got a lot of crap. I think actually one of the things I'm trying to do is not watch so much miserable documentary stuff. I've been watching, like, I watched all of the new Dirty Money series.
Oh, I haven't watched the new one.
week.
I watched
My mum said to watch it.
I watched the
which put me
Trump
off it.
episode of season 1 because my wife hadn't seen anything, and I said, "Oh, you should watch. Give it a try. Watch this one about Trump because, like, you know, it's a bit more relevant now that he's a president and whatever." And so we watched that, and it was miserable, but you know, it's pretty good. She liked it.
It is. It's fucking hard to watch because, like, you're like, Jesus
You
Christ.
lose a lot of faith in humanity when you watch that documentary series. It's crazy, the shit that people do just for money as well. It doesn't make any sense, but
It's something. It's interesting to see some of these worlds that you didn't know were going on.
Yeah.
Sort of criminal underworlds.
it's educational too because it you watch something like that and it makes you realize that you can actually go out of your way to avoid ever getting caught up in any of those worlds. You know what I mean? Like, just live a simple life. don't go to Trump University and don't fucking buy cars from companies that have cheated on carbon emissions and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Just
It is
just
amazing.
keep it simple.
Almost every episode is like this. Somebody does something incredibly poisonous to either the environment or the rules or something, and they get slapped with a fine that is about 1/4 of the profits that they made exploiting stuff.
but-
you know, they cut down a shitload of rainforest, sold it for $2 billion, and got fined £20. It's like, what? It's like, it's insane.
Yeah.
The craziest thing
yeah,
about
it's-
all of it is that nobody takes responsibility whatsoever for it because it's usually a big organizational thing, and it just becomes like it just becomes money on a piece of paper, right? It's just numbers on paper, and nobody stops to think about how it might affect like anybody else or anything else or whatever.
If you haven't seen Enron, The Smartest Guys in the Room, that's a really good documentary that I noticed was on Netflix the other day, and that's really interesting. Enron
It is really
is such a
interesting, yeah.
crazy, scandalous collapse, and the things that
There's
they did
a
were
lot
so
of
awful.
that.
But there's a
stuff.
lot of like time that goes into weighing up how worth it is it to do something versus how much are we likely to get fined for doing it, sort of thing. And if they're
Yeah.
still profitable at the end, they'll just do it. It's fucking Unbelievable.
All this stuff though just builds up this like pressure and fury in me, and it's futile. You know, I feel like my dad writing letters to the prime minister, you know, angrily complaining about something.
Does
it's
he do that?
Just pissing into the wind. Yeah, I mean, my dad's but he still regularly writes letters to the prime minister.
Dear
He's done it for
Boris,
years.
Hope you're well. Quick update on the runner beans coming along nicely in this rainy season.
I think it just.
However, I have a question about the National Health Service.
It does just get it out of his system, you know. He obviously is Daily Telegraph reader, and he just follows things. And actually, a couple of years ago, my mum sort of managed to get him to like stop buying it every day. And actually, he's been a lot more chill since. And I think that like we do have this. I can't remember what it's called, but there's this thing I read about on Wikipedia, and I read an article about it, and it's called it's something like negativity bias, and it basically our media around us, because you know we're constantly watching just like murder shows. You know, like casual viewing for me is like CSI or like Midsummer Murders or like, you know, Touch of Frost. Even my parents, you know, are very surrounded by kind of casual family viewing murder shows.
And those
right?
shows about police stopping people.
Yeah.
My mum watches all of those. Anything set in a hospital, like not dramas, but real life stuff in a hospital.
Yeah.
Real life stuff involving the police. She reads the paper, she watches the news, and I'm just like, you're entertaining yourself by filling your life with dread. Just permanently.
Well, that's
with
what
dread.
it is. It is. It's this build up of sort of anxiety and fear that the world is a much scarier place than it is. The reality is that far more people are positive and supportive to the extent that it's hundreds of times or thousands of times more people are. You know, the murder rate is incredibly small. You know, Midsummer Murders. You know, the show.
That town should be razed to the ground.
Do you think that some people's attitudes and views tend to be sort of national rather than local as well? Like,
yes.
And I think that's
100%.
part of the problem too, because I think if you got a local paper about things that were going on in your immediate area and affecting people that are part of your community or whatever, it's easily digestible stuff, right? Like, because you can relate to it a lot better. You could potentially get involved in something or whatever. But
have you read the local paper? Because I have. Here's the thing: it's hella boring. It's boring because that's reality.
Well, exactly. Yeah,
people don't want to read.
Yeah,
boring.
Our local paper is the same. Like every once in a while, there'll be like a trial for somebody like getting caught with drugs or something. But for the most part, it's like, grade 3 are painting a piece of wood on the front. And stuff like that, and you're just like, yeah, great. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's as boring as it is. I would rather read that than be fucking scared to death at every turn reading something like, you know, the Sun or the fucking Daily Mail or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. At the same time, like, I think that there is a fear in headlines and a fear in not knowing the full story yourself. Like, if you're not sure what's going on, I think you need to educate yourself in order to reassure yourself or of a situation. Don't think that learning more about something is actually going to usually make your fear of it worse. I think, for example, with coronavirus, I think the we are so terrified, and people who aren't familiar and have read up about all of the stuff are more scared than the people who have. Do you know what I mean? I think that I'm not saying that you should get addicted to
I had a run-in the pharmacy today about corona.
Oh, did you?
Go on.
Because they had a sign when you come in, and the pharmacy near me sort of has 2 aisles either side of like some of those, what are they? They're called gondolas, right? The things the shelves. So you've got the shelves there, and there's 2 aisles either side, and they both lead to the counter.
Sure.
And
pretty standard.
There's a sign that says,
standard shop setup.
Right. And then there's a sign that says, if you have the coronavirus. And I read that, and then they stuck a little thing next to it that says, queue this side. So I read down as far as queue this side, because it's like the top of the sign is white text on red, which is like jumps out at you. If you have the coronavirus. And then there's a little sign saying queue this side. And I look, and there's a bunch of people queuing that side. I thought, blimey. So I queued the other side because I don't have coronavirus or I don't have any symptoms of it. And this old lady's like, there's a queue. And I said, yeah, but that queue's for people with the coronavirus and I don't have it. And she said, I don't have the coronavirus. There's a queue. I said, well, why are you queuing on that side? I said, that's the queue for people that have coronavirus. She just kept saying, there's a queue. There's a queue. And this other guy came and queued next to me thinking, well, I don't have coronavirus, because the sign was so confusing that it freaked this old lady out. She thought I was trying to queue jump, but I wasn't.
She was more upset about the queue jumping than the fucking...
She was!
Give me the virus any day! Get this man out
This
of
guy-
here!
We are society!
One of the old guys in the queue says to me, it says if you have the coronavirus, you have to go home. He said the queue
Oh my
part
God,
is
that
separate.
might have been the trigger that started the fucking riots.
Right, and I
P-Flex,
thought
right
that
there.
simple...
This is how this shit gets started
Exactly.
in Britain anyway. Someone's not following the fucking queuing rules.
That's where we break down.
Call
So-
the army!
I went back and read the sign, and it said, if you have the coronavirus, and then a little bit that said queue this side, but then underneath that it said, go home. So I stopped reading at the point where it said queue this side, because I thought, well, I don't
It's going to
whatever.
become like a profile thing. Like there's gonna
Yeah.
be signs on the bathrooms, no coronies allowed and stuff like that. It's fuck.
Yeah, it's scary.
It's crazy.
But she was absolutely bonkers angry, thinking I was queue jumping. It was funny, but in the end,
Right,
I
well.
queued up behind her, and this guy came next to me, said the sign definitely said queue the other side. I'm with you, mate. I was like, all right, so if this comes to a fight, it's me and this fella against this old lady and this old fella. So we'll fucking take them. We'll take their pharmacy drugs and we'll run out,
Jesus Christ, some people.
and we'll burn the place to the ground.
How did I don't get some people, man. Like that's just crazy. Like just fucking take 2 seconds, even if it's a confusing sign. You know what I mean? Like instead of yelling at somebody, just ask them. Just be, or just fucking leave them to it. Like I would never confront somebody about something so fucking stupid. Like I have a bit more self-respect and a bit more fucking desire to like maintain some degree of well-being than to fucking stand in a pharmacy and yell at somebody because of queuing etiquette. I mean, fuck off.
I'm sure that putting people in high pressure environments is going to cause a whole bunch of problems. And so we are going to see this, I'm sure, over the next few weeks as people get, go a bit stir crazy and get put out of their routines.
People who work at grocery stores and stuff are being yelled at because there's no toilet paper.
Yeah.
Like people are actually going into stores and being like, what the fuck are you doing? Where the fuck is the toilet? Like actually getting yelled at. Like
I know, and
how?
people take these things for granted and assume that person behind the counter is in charge of toilet paper and somehow
How do you get to that point in your life where you're yelling at somebody in a store? I would never dream of doing it.
Panic.
Someone who's being paid minimum
It's
wage,
just
who's probably coming in and probably will be fired, for fucking, just because the company's having a slight downturn.
Have you guys ever gone to a store and yelled at somebody before? You've been mad about something that's gone wrong at a store?
People do that. But that's a rare thing, actually, Sips. Like again, we people are doing that, but I went to
the pet store.
Most people, 99% of people are fine.
I went to the pet store when I got Terry, and I spent, I think it was £180, right, on all the gear for him, like his cage, lights, like everything, just to get him set up. It was like £180, okay. And I get back from the store, I paid for everything on using my card. I kept the receipt and stuff. I get back from the store and I'm unloading all the stuff. My wife looks at the receipt and she's like, holy fuck. It's like, what? She's like, God damn, like Terry and his gear are expensive. I was like, oh, it's like £180. Like it's kind of expensive. She's like, 180? You mean 1,800 pounds? I was like, no, there's no way. and then, but like 5 minutes later, because I was like, I'll just go up and sort it out. Like, the girl just put like an extra zero on the keypad or something or whatever. But then 5 minutes later, the owner of the store phoned me and he's like, oh fuck, we really overcharged you. Sorry about that. I was like, yeah, we just noticed. Like, and he's like, yeah, come up and we'll get it all sorted out. I was like, oh, okay, cool, thanks. But like, even something like that, I wouldn't lose my shit over because I just feel like you can sort anything out just by sort of slowly and methodically going through it and reasoning it out and stuff, right? Like,
yeah,
I would never go to a store and be like, you fucking stupid fucking idiots, you fucking charged me too much, fuck you, like just going crazy. Like, what the hell?
I think some people see, and anyone that's worked in retail, I have, and I'm sure a bunch of our viewers have, and probably do.
Yeah,
a lot of people see you. Yeah, a lot of people see you as a target for their anger. And they immediately feel that they're the customer, therefore they outrank you. They are going to give you shit. and they're going to
Oh,
use
fuck.
you as a punching bag because you're less than them. You're serving them. You have a subservient role in this dynamic, so I'm going to take this out on you. And anyone that just says, look, I just work here. Well, you represent the store, don't you? Don't you? Well, you represent the store. Just fuck off, mate. All right? I mean, I'm sure your job is fucking amazing, you piece of shit. You're here shopping at 2 o'clock in the fucking afternoon. Probably haven't got a fucking job or you're retired, you old cunt. Fuck off! I'm doing this for fuck all.
Yeah,
that's what
do you know
I want to say.
I feel like you could totally do that if you ran your own, like, I don't know, chip shop or whatever. But if you're like in a fucking actual, like a Subway or a McDonald's or somewhere that pays just absolutely shit minimum
Have a
wage
Subway day!
and has all these fucking
You're not
training
allowed to
things to
swear.
like get you on
It
board.
would be worth taking that job, even if you didn't need it. I'm tempted to get that job and hope a customer gives me some shit, so I can tell them what I really think on behalf of all my fellow workers that can't open their mouth,
Yeah.
that have to just eat that shit day in, day out because they need the job and they can't afford to lose it. But don't push people too far. That's all I'm saying. Because eventually they're going to snap and they're going to start spitting at everybody's burgers just because you've been a cunt.
I think that, do you know what it is? I think it's don't push the workers too far as well. Because if these guys who are being paid minimum wage to get, complained at, and they're working, either extra hours or overtime or being forced
Stressful.
to,
It's very stressful.
you're gonna have the people say, look, we're not working under these. We're not.
But
we're
a good
striking,
manager,
or whatever.
and
You know?
I've seen this, will literally tell a customer to fuck off.
Yeah.
Like if you have a decent manager, they'll come out because they'll take the heat and they can talk to the head office and say, look, this bloke I'm not
I've
having
seen that happen
And they'll
before,
say, yeah,
actually,
we're
and
with you. I've seen it. Where the manager comes out and says, I'm not having you talk to my staff like that. Get out.
Yeah,
And
I've
that's
actually seen that
that's amazing.
like firsthand before. Not that anybody. I've never been yelled at by a customer, but I've had coworkers yelled at like in retail jobs by customers, and the manager just comes up and just says, "Excuse me, you have to leave." Like that's like unacceptable.
Yeah.
Which is it's great. It actually makes you feel
Damn
like
right.
like really good when
Oh.
it happens, and you have a lot of respect for the person because that's a hard thing to do. Actually, just going up to somebody and just saying like, "Sorry, you're out." Like it's not.
Get out
It's
of
not
this.
an easy thing to confront somebody. Like
I bet the managers fucking love it. I
Oh,
would.
man,
I would
yeah.
love it.
Yeah, same,
Turfing out a bastard customer. That must be
Can
like.
I
Let's have a
say-
collective high five, team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely, sure.
fucking let's do it.
Can I say as well that there's like some sweet joy in seeing airlines be turning into beggars, right? Because the airlines were used to be absolute fucking cunts,
Yeah.
right? They would be like, "Oh, do you want to sit next to your wife? That's 150 extra quid,
I
mate.
saw that tweet.
Do you wanna? Do you wanna like fucking get some? Do you wanna put your
Do you want
baggage
to
on?
breathe
Oh,
while
no,
you're
that'll
on the plane? It's going to cost you 5p per breath. We installed technology that can monitor how many breaths you take.
And they've been absolutely awful for years and years and years. Doing like these. Have you ever heard of like basic economy
Well, it's
seating?
just
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like it really. You're talking about Ryanair. There's no other airline that really does
Monarch,
it like that.
they went under, but they were abysmal.
Monarch
I
used
paid
to
for
be
extra
like
legroom
that too,
seat.
Ugh.
I paid for it was tenner for seat where I could actually sit straight on. Paid for that, and it was the wrong row. Whatever the equipment they had, it was the wrong row.
Oh, over the last 5 years, they've had absolutely amazing record profits, right? And I read that the biggest American airlines put 95% of it back into buying their own shares back,
Nice.
right? And now they're like, "Oh, government, could I have some money, please? We don't know how we're going to weather this storm. It's times tough for the old airlines. How are we going to pay
Cap in hand.
our CEOs multiple tens of millions of pounds every week? Why don't you? They're not going to sell the shares they bought back. I mean, that would be insane.
They're worth fuck all now. That's why.
Yeah.
Oh, well, tough shit. Like fucking holy shit. Like what? This is how the world
They're a
works.
huge polluter. There's too fucking many tourists
I have
anyway.
no sympathy.
Fuck
I
the
guess
airlines.
I sound like my dad. This is my letter to the Prime
Man,
Minister.
you should write a letter.
Dear Prime Minister, do not bail out these fucking assholes.
Boris, if you're listening,
Jesus
take note. Say no to the airline bailout. Fuck them.
This is what happened. I'm turning into my dad. I saw this week someone put a comment, and they took a picture of me with my. Someone took a picture of me because the special effect came in and brought us some eggs and a nice picture and stuff. Anyway, it's very nice. Thank you. And they took a picture of me, and my hair was sort of flopped to the side.
Right.
and they had a picture of my dad side by side, and he had exactly the same hairstyle. And I was like,
Right.
oh my God, I'm turning into my dad.
Doesn't your dad have a mustache? Does he have a
He
big
does
mustache?
have
Grow
the
a mustache right
yeah.
now.
Yeah, grow one, man. You should do
Well,
it.
I can't. I've tried. I think maybe I got the gene for the hair, but not for the mustache, because my dad has a very, very thin upper lip that he's got hidden behind his mustache.
Is it like a pencil mustache, like Brian Ferry?
It's a very thin upper lip, but it looks a bit weird, so that's why he has the mustache to hide
He's
it.
got a
Wow.
Brian Ferry. You could grow a Brian Ferry easily. I think you'd look good with that too, with the pencil mustache.
He would look creepy as fuck. He'd look even more like the Bristol Pusher if he had a mustache that he could twirl at the edges. That would be.
Don't listen to Flax. Don't just get the pencil mustache.
Mustaches are not cool at the moment. The only people who can pull off mustaches are Bollywood stars, and
Yes.
yeah, that's
And
about
dictators. That's it.
Yeah, dictators. Yeah, yeah.
Dictators.
Middle Eastern dictators and Bollywood stars, and
Yeah.
most police officers in America as well.
it. Well,
The
True.
mustache is still very
if they're
popular.
massive racists, they can have a big mustache.
The
That's
higher
thing.
up they are, the bigger the bushier the mustache as well, eh? Here's the commissioner for Baltimore. It just comes out just like a fucking walking mustache.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, everybody.
Cowboys and actors who tend to portray cowboys. Sam Elliott, prime example.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be the same without a mustache.
Oh, yeah.
The American cops, it's like such a stereotype, eh? They're always like a little bit overweight, white. They've got like glasses and a mustache, right? Like pretty much every cop. But then there's the other cops that are just like beefcakes, like they played high school football and
there was a brief attempt to bring back the mustache, wasn't there, by Henry Cavill? He was a cop, wasn't he? In the movie was he a cop in the movie that he grew a mustache for? Was it Mission Impossible? I can't remember.
He was the bad guy in Mission Impossible.
Oh, right.
Spoiler,
Well,
sorry.
Maybe
Sorry.
I can't remember.
By the way, that was a fucking kick-ass movie, the most recent Mission Impossible.
Was
movie.
it?
I loved it. I
was
loved
Tom
it.
Cruise in it?
Yes. It was
course he
so
was.
good.
How does that guy do it, man? Like,
I don't know.
Tom Cruise is like 70 years old now, right?
He's 104.
Maybe there is something to this Scientology bullshit.
Alexa.
Maybe there
How
is
old
something
is
to
Tom
this
Cruise?
Xenu stuff.
He's 61, I think.
Tom Cruise is 57 years
No,
old.
he's 57.
57,
He was
okay.
born on the 3rd of July, 1962.
Oh, he was born on the 3rd of July and not on the 4th of July.
Damn,
Funny
one
that,
day
eh?
short of
Love it
actually
or leave it.
Woo!
Like one day
America,
short.
woo! I love how when people in an audience, Americans do that. I love how they whoop
I hate
when
that.
people say America.
I hate the whoop.
I
In
don't-
the way
I'm
that
not-
no one
I-
else
I don't-
does.
I can't get behind the whooping. I don't like it at all.
Woo!
Woohoo!
I mean, you talk, two English people and a Canadian. We're not about whooping and
No.
and
I
that
think
kind of thing.
Canadians have a bit more whooping potential. They're very
There is potential.
North
No,
American.
there's
yeah, but-
potential. In the same way that you're like, is anyone in the studio tonight from the north? And they'll be like, we'll go, yeah.
Woo. Yeah, we're not going to go woo.
yeah, I know. It's funny, Abe. Like British sort of culture is very very dry. Yeah,
Understated and dry.
It's not extroverted like Americans.
It's not in your
are.
face.
Americans.
No, if anything, it's beating
Americans
you
go
down.
to rallies and they like get out of their car and they do like the death metal sign. They're like, yeah! Going crazy. It's like, come on, it's a fucking rally. Like, calm down. Like
Joe Biden!
yeah. And British people would do the same thing, but they get out of their car, they'd be like mumbling and like moaning about something in rubber boots and walking across a field. That's like every rally in Britain.
Yeah.
That's true.
Complaining about the weather as they go. Oh, God.
Fuck me,
Sick of
man.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody hell.
Well, it's been a part. It feels like it's like a stripped down podcast. We didn't do a proper intro or anything. I think people are like, it feels everything recently feels a bit DIY because of the quarantining and everybody being on lockdown and stuff. Everything feels like a little bit seat of the pants these days.
I think we need some like new words for this because quarantine feels like such a zombie movie word,
Yeah.
right? We need to call it something else.
And something
like,
more
'cause it's not-
positive than self-isolation.
Yeah.
Let's call it
Yeah.
some me time. Everybody's taking some me time.
How
to,
about your
to
like
chill at
how
home
about
and look
it's-
after themselves and their loved ones, to not panic.
Retreat to your happiness fortress. How about that?
Exactly, something like that. Because
No, but it
this
needs to
can
be like
positive.
why are you doing it? It should be to like help. It should be like to help reduction or something like that. You could call it. Do you know what I mean? We need to spin this. You know, in the same way that
you know what we're doing. We're doing our civic
the
duty.
spy house is animal friendly.
Animal friendly.
You know?
It's the animal house, and it's friendly.
And it's in tune with nature.
Yeah, I think it's important people realize that people are there for you. Your friends are there for you. Your family are there for you. They may not be there physically, but we are more connected now with each other and everyone else than we've ever have been throughout history. So you're not alone.
You're
not
so
alone.
by self-isolating,
We're still going to keep going.
Maybe you're elderly respecting, or like, you know,
Elderly
I don't know,
respecting,
like
yeah.
You're doing your
Do you know what I
duty.
mean?
We're doing our job collectively to get over this. And I think we should be proud of the fact that the people are, there are going to be some assholes and there's going to be some dickheads, but on the whole, we're going to collectively pull together, and everybody wants this to go well. Everyone I've spoken to says, good luck, all the best, stay healthy. That's what we all want. So let's see it in that way. Socially, we're pulling together.
There's already been, actually, I mean, this podcast's a week delayed, so a lot can change in a week.
Yeah, in a week's time, the whole world will be on fire. But for the time being...
But actually, already I've started to read positive stuff. Like, they seem to have gotten on top of it. At least in China, there weren't any new cases over the last couple of days.
So they say.
And like, it feels like what we're doing by sort of self-isolating and shutting things down does seem to be curtailing the sort of spread quite a lot.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Hopefully. And with the schools closed and more people working from home and stuff, it'll just... I think it's one of those things where it's likely to keep spreading, but I think they want it, if it is going to spread, they want it to spread slowly so they can cope with it.
That's it.
They don't want
the plan.
everybody to get it at the same goddamn time.
I think there might be benefits that come out of this too, like in terms of how
Tom
people
Hanks
work.
Tom Hanks got it, and he's fine now, and his wife as well.
Yeah.
Idris Elba had it as well, and I think he's fine. He didn't even have he had some symptoms, but he said he's fine. Like it didn't affect him, but he was
a lot less people are getting sick of other things too. I don't know. I feel like
but apparently if you do have it, don't use anti-inflammatories. Is what they're saying
don't
now.
use ibuprofen. That's a big no-no.
Don't
because
use that because
they like inflammation is your body fighting an infection, right?
Yeah,
like that's the point. So
so it can make it can make it worse.
It can make it worse. So I think that's been widely disseminated. But just in case you didn't hear that, don't take ibuprofen or any similar anti-inflammatories.
Yeah, and eat your 5 a day and be careful out there.
And don't worry,
stay frosty.
Look after people in your neighborhood.
We're gonna keep going. We're gonna entertain you in your hour of need with Tarkov and Triforce and.
Where nothing has changed for us.
All the
Our
best
life
stuff.
is literally the same.
No, my life has not been impacted.
I literally everything
one
is the
single
same.
bit.
Very
has
lucky.
not changed. Hey, you know what though? Before we go quickly, I'm planning an expansion of my dad garage. I'm going to expand.
To what?
Where? To where?
More turtles.
No. Behind the dad garage. Like there's like the patch of garden behind the garage. Lewis has been to my house, so he knows.
The bit with all the snails.
Yeah, where all the snails live and stuff. Okay, peep this. I'm going to build an extension to the garage, but it's not going to connect into there's not going to be a door into it, but there'll be like a patio area outside, and that whole area behind the garage is going to be like a big like greenhouse / bike shed. What do you think of that?
Greenhouse. I would love to have a greenhouse.
Yeah. But I'm going crazy. I'm gonna go crazy with it though. I'm gonna get like one of those fucking mist systems. I'm gonna get heating in there and everything. It's gonna be.
You're gonna grow
great.
weed. Grow weed.
I could grow weed, but it'd probably end up just growing like a couple of herbs and like some tomatoes.
Have you already
and
got
stuff.
a shed on the other side of the garden?
Yeah, but it's just a crappy like.
Oh, you're gonna replace
Lewis.
Q shit. I'm
He's
gonna get
making
rid of that
like Kew Gardens in Jersey. This is
I'm
the
gonna
start.
make my own.
I'm down.
Yeah, I'm gonna get I might even get some more tortoises. I might make like a big run for Terry and get him some friends and stuff.
Is it they call it a terrarium? Is that where you put him in a big thing?
I'll get like I'll make it nice and humid in there with a lot of mist and shit, and like oh man, it's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna grow all of his dandelions in there for him and stuff.
This is awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Get like a roof bit for the driveway as well. Get like some pillars,
like a carport,
put like a little roof on the driveway. Yeah, like a railway station.
No, well, I think eventually,
and then get like some servants and a butler and
I think eventually that part, the part of the driveway that you're talking about by the porch, will probably extend the house out that way.
Oh wow!
Yeah, but that's
you don't have that much space, Sips. You're gonna have to. There's a car park on the other side, isn't there? Can you? Who's using that?
On the other side of what?
Cars.
Of the fence, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, it's like not. It used to be part of this property, and then they sold that bit of land to the place next door.
Oh, right.
But
Are they using
who knows? Maybe I could buy it back, and then I could build like a little cottage or something there.
Yeah, dad cottage.
Yeah, and then I could just live in there. My family can live in the big house. Just have like my own
The
little
big house.
bachelor pad.
So you're planning to become completely self-sufficient. You're going to grow your own food.
Yeah.
You're going to live in the garage. You're
Yeah.
going to build another house.
I'm gonna grow my own corn in there.
I don't think that'll
I'm
work.
gonna make my own corn syrup. I'm gonna make my own fructose, and I'm gonna make all sorts of weird, and wonderful corn products.
You could probably grow some tomatoes.
Tomatoes,
do they
yeah.
do they call like corn beef? Do they call it queef? Because they should look into that.
No, I don't think
Oh,
they
yeah.
do because
Yeah.
it would
it
just
would
be,
sell. It'd be
it would
hilarious.
it'd be like calling like a brand of pickles penis farts or something. You know
I
what
think
mean?
they
Like-
should do that.
Yeah, they should. Yeah.
I would buy that. It would sell.
Dick pickles. Dickles.
Dickles.
Yeah. All right, that's enough.
See you next time. Bye.
All right.
See you next time.
All right.
Love you, mate.
Stay safe.